The Aral Sea in its glory days. Ancient times, 1960s. Once, the Aral Sea was a vast and thriving body of water stretching across Central Asia. Fishermen sailed their boats, pulling in nets full of fish. Villages along the shore were alive with markets, children playing, and birds flying over the sparkling blue waters. This was a place of prosperity, a gift of nature. The Soviet irrigation project begins 1960s, 1970s. In the 1960s, the Soviet Union launched an ambitious plan. They diverted the rivers feeding the Aral Sea to irrigate cotton fields. Massive canals were built, and water, once destined for the sea, was now flowing into farmland. The fields turned green, but far away, the Aral Sea began to shrink. The Aral Sea begins to shrink, 1980s. By the 1980s, the Aral Sea was in crisis. The water level dropped drastically, and the once thriving fishing industry collapsed. Boats sat stranded in the sand, abandoned by fishermen who had lost their livelihoods. The salty water became toxic, killing fish and turning the sea into a lifeless pool. The sea turns into a desert, 2000s. By the 2000s, much of the Aral Sea had vanished, leaving behind a dry and cracked desert. The land was filled with rusting ships, reminders of a lost ocean. Winds carried toxic dust, poisoning the air and making people sick. What was once a sea had become a graveyard of nature. The Aral Dam and the revival of the North Aral Sea, 2005 to present. In 2005, hope returned. Kazakhstan built the Aral Dam, saving the northern part of the Aral Sea. Water levels began to rise, fish returned, and fishermen set sail once again. The desert slowly gave way to life, proving that even lost waters can be restored. A final reflection: the cost of human actions. The Aral Sea story is a warning to humanity. On one side, there was life, prosperity, and water. On the other, destruction, pollution, and loss. A lone fisherman stands between past and present, reminding us that the choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow. The lesson from the Aral Sea. A warning for humanity. The story of the Aral Sea is not just about a disappearing body of water. It is a powerful lesson about the consequences of human actions. What was once a thriving sea, full of life, turned into a barren wasteland because of short-sighted decisions and mismanagement of natural resources. This tragedy teaches us that nature is not limitless. When we exploit resources without thinking about the future, we destroy the delicate balance of our environment. The Aral Sea was a victim of greed and poor planning, but it does not have to be the last. Even today, we see forests being cut down, rivers being polluted, and the air being poisoned. If we do not learn from history, we are bound to repeat it. But there is still hope. Just as a part of the Aral Sea was revived, we can restore our planet if we act wisely. The choice is ours. Will we protect nature for future generations, or will we let greed and carelessness turn our world into another Aral Sea?